But first, we are excited to welcome Susan Bernal Lopez on how to cement a low-carbon future infrastructure.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
Congratulations on having been named to deliver the 2021 MRS Fall Meeting Kavli Foundation Early Career Lectureship. Can you give us a little bit of a preview of what exactly you will be talking about?
Well, I will say my lecture will be a mix of two components. First, I would like to get people excited about cement and concrete, sharing some of the important facts, for example, that concrete is the most widely used material on the planet. And then the second part of my talk will be showcasing some of the research that I've been doing with my research team, particularly in a new low-carbon type of cement that is called alkali activated cement.
Concrete and cement aren't necessarily the first materials that someone thinks about when thinking about sustainability. What are some of the advances in these materials that will lead to more sustainable infrastructure development?
That's a very important question, and I will say briefly that we can kind of cluster these in three main topics. So one will be, for example, making more sustainable cement. So shifting from this like monoculture of using Poland cement for everything that we need towards having like this toolkit of cement. I will say that the second big branch towards sustainability will be using cement better when we produce concrete. So optimizing how much of this valuable resource we use to produce concrete is another approach to sustainability. And I will say to finalize, we need to improve how we use concrete in infrastructure. So there have been tremendous developments over the past decade in using bio-based materials or using different composites type of infrastructure.
Well, infrastructure has certainly been in the news as of late, particularly here in the United States, with significant investments in infrastructure likely on the way. How do we ensure that the very latest science in low-carbon cements are included in those investments?
In my personal opinion, the first thing is getting more engagement and the communication between researchers and industrialists and even politicians is absolutely key. But the other thing is we also need the policy and the standards that will enable us to use these new materials, for example, in construction. So we need this like scientific development of these new technologies to go in hand with the development of these standards and testing methods and policy that will enable us to put it in place.
What are some of the obstacles to overcome in implementing these new discoveries? Are there still technical challenges, or are the obstacles more political or societal in nature? Or maybe a combination of all of those?
So I will say that overall, in my personal opinion, first is a lack of understanding of the science behind how these materials actually are produced and performed. So that creates a little bit of fear from some people about change. But also I will say that the people making these decisions to adopt new sustainable technologies need to also understand the complexity of change that is required for a vast industry like the cement sector. So when we say, oh yes, let's move to sustainable technologies, we need to also take into consideration the tremendous impact from a financial point of view, from a business model point of view, that will have for these industries.
All right, thank you so much for your time today. Certainly appreciate it.
No, thank you very much for inviting me. It was really enjoyable. Thanks.